One of the things that struck me with the president's tweet is he seems to want to compete with the Chinese on central banks. At the same time, he's accusing them of cutting their currency to hurt us.
Yeah, and he's wrong. They have not manipulated their currency. Manipulation means when a country like China intervenes overtly to drive their currency down. The Chinese have not done that. To the contrary, for the last 5 years, the Chinese have been intervening to keep their currency from weakening, doing what we want, keeping them less competitive. What the Chinese did over the weekend was to reduce the amount that they were spending to keep their currency from weakening. They've let it go down a little, but that's a response to market forces, and particularly a response to Trump's tariffs. It's Trump's tariffs which reduce their trade surplus, which weaken their economy, that have pushed their currency down in the exchange markets. The response through the currency markets is to Trump's own actions. He's getting, in reaction to his tariffs, exactly what one would expect.
And Fred, from what you understand the situation, you understand it so well, how much more capacity does China have to use their exchange rate and actually to put more pressure on the United States, or to retaliate, or to respond, as you want to put it, to President Trump on more tariffs?
Well, I do not think they will intervene overtly to drive their currency down. They did that for 10 years, but that stopped 5 or 6 years ago. I do not think they would do that. That really would be inflammatory. But they could take their hands off the rate and let it weaken further, as they did a little bit over these last few days. The result would depend on market forces. The question is how far market forces would push the Chinese currency down. The market is clearly pushing it in a downward direction because the Chinese economy has slowed down, because the trade war is hurting them, because they are likely to reduce their interest rates to cope with the weakening of their economy. But we don't know how far it would go. If the Chinese really let their rate float freely, then we'd find out. But I don't think they'll do that either. The Chinese are afraid that their rate might actually fall a lot. They do not want that. They're afraid that would prompt more capital flight, produce more weakening of their economy. So in a way, there's kind of a weak alliance between the Chinese authorities and Trump. Yes, they'll let their rate go down a little bit to react to his trade threats, but they will not let it plunge. They will not let it go down a lot. They will not weaponize it in a big way because they think that would hurt their own interests.